Chapter 183. Summer, 1993. 7th of August, 1993. An owl arrived that morning, and it was as if Remus had been waiting for it all along. He was brushing his teeth when the bird landed on his bathroom windowsill, brown and tawny. He recognised it at once. He would know a Hogwarts owl anywhere. It gave an official hoot and stuck out its scrawly leg. Remus untied the letter, toothbrush clenched between his teeth, mouth full of froth. He spat and opened the envelope as the bird took off again, navigating the narrow brick buildings with the perfect ease of a predator. Mr. R.J. Lupin. Professor Dumbledore wishes to pay you a visit today about tea time. He apologizes for the short notice given and hopes that he will be made welcome. No need to provide refreshments. Hoping you are well. It was not signed, and had presumably come directly from the headmaster's office. Remus expected his insides to turn cold, his hands to shake, tears to prick in his eyes. But nothing came. He felt no reaction other than extreme tiredness. Heaving a sigh, Remus finished brushing his teeth and dressed. Grant had left at some point for football practice. He'd invited Remus. He always asked, but Remus never took him up on it. He'd spent enough of his life watching people who were sportier than him doing sporty things. It was a Saturday, and there was nothing much to do, so Remus read the paper, The Guardian. He hadn't picked up a copy of The Prophet in years, and settled in to wait. He expected that tea time was about 5 p.m, though you could never tell with Dumbledore. He tried to picture his head teacher, wondering whether 12 years had made much of a difference, and to see if he was still angry. But no, Remus didn't think he had the energy for anger anymore. Maybe he'd used it all up. Restless, Remus switched on the telly, then turned it off again when there was nothing to watch but Grandstand. He found himself growing agitated. What sort of person simply announced their visit the morning of? What sort of person just invited themselves over? No one but Dumbledore. It was downright rude. What if Remus had had plans? He briefly wondered about teaching the old goat a lesson, walking out and going to see a film, let Dumbledore arrive to an empty flat. Serve him right. But... Remus wanted to know. It had to be important. No one from Hogwarts or the Order had ever tried to get in touch since the early 80s. It could be anything. Finally, that old familiar crack sounded just outside, and there was a soft but purposeful rap at the door. He opened it quickly and found Dumbledore almost exactly as he remembered. Hair a bit whiter, if that was even possible, but very much the same man. A queasy feeling rose up in Remus's throat, and he felt 11 years old again. "Professor," he said dryly, standing aside to allow Dumbledore entry. "Remus," the old man smiled. "How are you?" "Fine." Remus rubbed the back of his head. "Fine, yeah." "Lovely." Dumbledore's bright blue eyes darted about the room, taking in every inch of Remus's home that he'd once shared with Sirius. Sit if you want," Remus offered. "Thank you." "Tea?" "Certainly. Very kind." Remus took the opportunity to escape to the kitchen. He made the tea the Muggle way, with the electric kettle, just to stay away a bit longer. "Sugar?" he called. "3, if you please." The old man still had his sweet tooth then. Remus remembered the sherbet lemons with reluctant fondness. Tea made, he returned to the living room and set the mugs down on his battered old coffee table, using an old copy of Private Eye as a coaster. "It's been ages," Remus said, sitting in the armchair. 12 years. "I know." Remus flinched, irritated. Did Dumbledore really think he didn't count away each passing year, each month.
You're keeping well?
Well enough. I get by.
Do you know why I'm here?
The wizard asked. Remus shrugged. Haven't the foggiest. Dumbledore sighed very softly and set down his mug of tea.
I was somewhat afraid of that. You haven't been reading the news, then?
Not your news. No. Why?
Oh, dear. I had hoped you'd already... You see, Remus...
He's dead, isn't he? Remus said suddenly, sharply. Black. He's dead. Remus fixed him with a very intense stare.
No, he said gently. He is not dead. Sirius has escaped.
For a moment, Remus thought he might have misheard. Escaped? Would dead have been better? At least if Sirius was dead, then it was all over, finally. He couldn't wrap his head around what escape meant. Christ. He dropped his head into his hands.
Indeed.
Dumbledore sipped his tea. Remus didn't trust himself to lift his mug, so he simply sat there, staring at the carpet. It needed hoovering, badly.
I take it then, Dumbledore said evenly, that Mr. Black has not been in touch.
Mr. Black. He spoke as if they were still his students. Remus just shook his head mutely, looking up. Dumbledore nodded, and Remus knew he believed him. Is he... I didn't know anyone could escape Azkaban.
Sirius would be the first, Dumbledore said. He was always a very gifted wizard.
Remus couldn't think properly. He felt as if a vault of long-forgotten memories was easing open in his mind, its hinges rusty and sore. Could a dog escape the Dementors? Could a dog swim to shore? The North Sea was so cold. He shuddered to think of it. 12 years.
Honey, I'm home.
Grant came clattering through the door in fluorescent yellow football shorts with a terrible American accent and a cheesy grin, which froze when he saw Dumbledore. Oh, sorry. Tea party, is it? Remus stood up anxiously, rubbing his arm. Grant, this is my old head teacher. Could you give us a minute? If you want. Grant furrowed his brow, eyes darting back and forth. Should I leave? No, don't go, just... I'll wait in the other room, Grant said, understanding quickly. Remus blushed slightly. Dumbledore was sure to know that the other room was the bedroom. Grant edged around the room awkwardly. Just as he reached the bedroom door, he patted his pockets. Remus, got any fags? Accio Marlboros, Remus said, with a twitch of his wand. The packet flew into his hand, and he withdrew one, lighting it with his wand, then threw the box to Grant, who caught it deftly. Cheers! Grant nodded, retreating into the next room. Remus took a long drag, staring into space. His head swam. He very rarely smoked anymore. He hid a box for emergencies, and this was an enormous emergency.
You perform magic in front of this young man?
Dumbledore asked. Remus gave him an irritated look. What a stupid thing to care about. Yeah, statute of secrecy, he replied, tutting, flicking his ash onto the coffee table. Give me detention for it if you like. He took another pull.
Fortunately, the statute of secrecy does not apply to partners, spouses, or family members,
Dumbledore replied calmly.
And I assume he is your... Remus exhaled smoke, rubbing his head again. Well, he's not my fucking brother, Professor. Dumbledore did not flinch.
I am sorry, Remus, he said. You've had a shock. I hadn't realised that you'd shut yourself off so much. I had thought...
No one to shut myself off from, Remus snorted. Everyone's gone anyway.
I wish I could give you some time to adjust to this news, but I'm afraid there's another reason I've come today.
Of course there is. Remus sighed deeply. He just wanted Dumbledore to leave. He needed a drink, for the first time in years. He needed to drink himself into a stupor, to drown every thought in his head.
Are you working at the moment?
Here and there. Remus shrugged. What I can get.
There is a vacancy at Hogwarts.
Yeah? Remus snorted. Filch left, has he? Not interested.
It is a teaching position,
Dumbledore replied, once again demonstrating his uncanny ability to remain calm when confronted with barefaced cheek. Remus laughed rudely. Have you finally cracked it, Dumbledore? You want to hire a werewolf to look after your kids now?
There are measures we can take.
Oh no. Remus shook his head vehemently. You're not getting me back in that bloody shack.
Advances have been made, Remus,
Dumbledore said sharply.
If you had kept in touch with the wizarding world, you would know this. The discovery of Wolfsbane potion has been of an enormous help to many with your condition. It would render you almost entirely harmless during your transformation. I would make it a condition of your employment.
Why do you want me? Remus eyed him with renewed suspicion. What was he after? Teaching positions at Hogwarts were highly coveted. He knew that much.
I think you would make an excellent teacher, first and foremost,
Dumbledore said.
I also thought you might appreciate the opportunity. And with the news of Black's escape,
Remus nodded. You want me nearby, just in case?
For your own protection, of course.
He won't come after me, Remus said stonily. He might be mad, but he's not stupid. He's never been stupid.
Not stupid, perhaps, but reckless.
Dumbledore raised a snowy eyebrow. Remus conceded. True enough. What would I be teaching? History? Care of magical creatures?
Defense against the dark arts.
Dumbledore smiled pleasantly, now that Remus seemed to be coming around to the idea.
As an ex-member of the Order of the Phoenix, I thought you would be ideal. There is one other thing,
Dumbledore said, sounding unsure for the first time, as though he wasn't certain what Remus's reaction might be. Remus said nothing, just looked him in the eye and waited. Dumbledore set down his mug.
Harry.
Pain fled somewhere deep inside Remus, like the reopening of an old wound. His mouth went dry again, and he sipped his lukewarm tea. I hadn't thought, he said quietly. I hadn't forgotten, but he'd be 12?
13 now.
13. He shook his head slowly. What's he like?
He looks like James,
Dumbledore said sadly.
But there is a good deal of Lily in him too.
Remus was quiet for almost a full minute, getting his breathing under control. Finally, he raised his head.
Okay,
he said. 1st of September, 1993. You're going then? Grant said. This was a redundant statement. Remus was literally packing his bags. He was getting the strangest sense of déjà vu. How long had it been since he'd last packed his trunk for Hogwarts? He'd had to dig out all of his old robes, his weird wizard clothes. They were shabby and threadbare, but he wasn't willing to fork out for new stuff, so he did his best with some mending spells. Grant had painted Professor R.J. Lupin onto his old briefcase as a joke, but it didn't feel very funny at that moment.
I'm going,
he confirmed, rolling up a pair of socks. Grant sat on the bed watching him, stony-faced. Remus didn't blame him. He was being unspeakably cruel, he knew that. Grant was putting up with it again. Remus looked at him.
It's a job. It's only for a year.
At your old school?
Yeah, I told you.
I'm worried about you.
I know you are.
If Sirius has escaped, and he knows you're there, will he...
Can we not? I'm going, that's it.
Remus snapped, clicking his suitcase shut fiercely. He didn't want to think about that. He just needed to get through today. They were silent for a bit, then. Grant went and made tea and brought it back in. Remus stopped to sit and drink it with him. He'd given up smoking, for good this time, or so he told himself. Tea would have to do.
You can still stay here. I'm not kicking you out, Remus said. This place is just as much yours as it is mine. And there are protection spells. I made sure.
Nah, Grant shrugged, giving a defeated smile. I'm rubbish on my own. Probably do the rounds, or board at the Borstal. Been a while since I've seen the Brighton lot. Maybe I'll pop down.
Stay in touch, okay?
I'm not about to cart an owl around with me.
Oh, I suppose not. I'll try to get a phone, if I can.
God, you make it sound like you're off to war. Remus swallowed dryly and found he couldn't speak. Fortunately, Grant didn't have speaking in mind just then. He took Remus's tea from him, set it down on the bedside table, and turned around to push Remus down into the mattress. I'm going to miss you, he smiled against Remus's lips, working on the button on his trousers. Remus kissed him back, as hard as he had done when they were teenagers. Afterwards, Remus decided it was best to leave quickly. He wanted to think about Grant lying happy and flushed under the duvet, an enduring memory of youth and beauty. He dressed and picked up his bags. Just as he was about to say goodbye again, Grant grabbed his wrist. Oi! I love you, you tosser.
Grant.
Go on. Grant looked at him directly, his face just as honest and sunny as it had been at 16. Say it back.
You know how I feel about you.
Yeah. Grant smiled, without a trace of bitterness. I do, but it'd be nice to hear it. Go on. I know you can. Terror gripped Remus's heart, but he swallowed it. He had to be brave. Grant deserved it. And he meant it. He did, he really did.
I love you.
Cheers. Grant let go of his wrist, and that was all.
We'll see each other again,
Remus said, forcefully promising it to himself as much as anything. Grant stretched out sleepily and nodded.
Yeah, I know,
he sighed. Like magnets, you and me. Always snap back together again. Remus hurried out of the door, not wanting to get too upset. He had a train to catch. End of chapter 183.